know you're mad at me, but you haven't been in a video in a while, and you're looking so much healthier, so much tubbier. I know. Hey, you're okay. Look, you're okay. No meds. Mom just wants to hold you so that everyone can see you. Well, never mind. Deanna's here. So the video you guys are about ready to watch, I actually recorded earlier, like top of this year. I wanted to repost it here because I did post it on the channel that I ended up deleting. I'll post my links to my explanations of why up above, but I wanted to still post it here so that it could be out there and that it could be known, because I did read a lot more in 2024 than I have in a while, and there were some amazing albums that came out. I want to do this kind of video at the end of 2025 as well. I definitely am like, we're what, halfway through the year? Over halfway at this point? I haven't read nearly as much as I did last year, and I definitely haven't listened to as much music as I did last year, but as the year winds down and I'm feeling a little bit better and Leola's doing a lot better, I am getting back to listening to music and books, so expect another one of these videos here in the next several months, like January or something. God, the end of the year is creeping up on me fast, y'all. I don't know what to do with that. Oof. But this is just my disclaimer that I recorded this video a long time ago, and I recorded it long before anything with Leola happened, so it's kind of just been sitting collecting dust, and I thought it'd be good to share, especially since some of my other videos are taking a little bit longer. Check out the recent shorts on my channel to understand why that is. But I appreciate all of your guys' support of my content. Please subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. If y'all had any favorite books or music that you've liked last year, or even just this year since we're so far into it now, comment down below. I'd love to talk to you guys about this. I hope that you enjoy this despite how old it is. We're gonna start with music. Music is probably the thing that I listen to the most. Like, I always get told that I listen to music almost too much at some points. Anytime you do like the Spotify Wrapped or the Apple Remix stuff, it's always like, yeah, you listen to this much music and the average person listens to way less than you. So it's like, I listen to a lot of music all the time, and 2024 was a pretty good year for music, but there was like, it had its highs and it had its lows. 2025 is definitely a wild year right now. But overall, it's been a pretty good year so far, and 2024 left me with some amazing songs and hits that I have not been able to stop listening to. So this is not me going based off of like, what is like the best song of the year? What is the song I listen to the most? What do I think is the best musically? I am going purely off songs that have impacted me and albums that are important to me. And that's kind of what I want to do here. Songs and albums that are meaningful to me, rather than, hey, here's the best songs of 2024. So I have written down, I wrote down, and I had to go through everything because I couldn't remember what all was like a 2024 release and what was a 2023 or a 2025, because I am getting to this late. So I had to go through like a whole list of everything that was released that I listened to and narrow it down from there. So I have come up with my top 5+1 songs, because I realized one of my favorite songs actually came out in early 2024 and I didn't realize till after I'd made the list. And then also my top 5 albums with 1 honorable mention, since of course, if I'm giving an honorable mention to a song, I should give an honorable mention to an album as well. For my top artists, so I did not have, I was not on the same music listening platform for the entirety of 2024. About halfway, I switched from Spotify to Apple. And if you track music, and if you are someone who actually keeps tabs on like how often you listen to a song or this album or artist, Spotify and Apple do not track their music the same way. Spotify is shifting now to track music like Apple does, but they have different metrics for tracking music. So I, being the math nerd I am, went and converted my entire Spotify listening history, because I had it, there was this website I used to use for my schooling called Last.fm, and I got that website around the time I got Spotify, so it has my entire listening history on it. So I took that listening history, converted it to minutes and hours, which is what Apple Music uses, and now I have my entire listening history, and I can update it in like this Excel spreadsheet as the years go on, as I continue listening to music.
As it stands right now, my number one artist of all time is One OK Rock by a wide margin. They are my most listened to artist, which is why I'm super excited for their album. Do not be surprised if we get into the end of 2025 and that is one of my top albums of the year. I have been waiting so long for it. But last year, surprisingly, One OK Rock did not take the number one spot. One OK Rock has been my number one artist most of the years. I think, what was it? I think if I remember correctly, because I don't have the spreadsheet up right now, it was BAP, then One OK Rock, then One OK Rock again, then Paris, then Dobbin, and then One OK Rock again. And this year, 17 came out as my number one artist for 2024, and I think that's because I saw them in concert. Because I saw 17 in concert, I spent so much time listening to their music and prepping Gus and my mom for like songs they might not know that were on the set list, some of the older stuff that they weren't as familiar with. So I have listened to a lot of 17 this year. I believe my top 3 artists for the year were 17, Key from Shiny, and Dobbin. Those were my top 3 most listened to artists this year. I have no idea what happened to One OK Rock this year. They did not make my top 5, but they still hold strong as my most listened to artist, and seeing as they have a new album coming out, I don't think that's going to change. Let's start with my top songs before I get into albums. My top songs, this is in no particular order, and I want to start with my favorite song, so like no particular order, but this is the song that I still bop to today and I still absolutely adore, and that is 18 Plus by Scene Queen. I found Scene Queen via TikTok. A lot of her listeners did. I absolutely adore her and what she is doing for the music industry and for women in the music industry. She is setting such an amazing standard, and I love her turning this music on its head. And 18 Plus is just so great because it's calling out all of the problematic bands that we have in the American music industry. Like, obviously there's stuff in other cultures too, but like the predatoriness of American bands, especially in not as much metal, but more the punk pop or the punk rock industry, is absolutely insane. I am actually glad that I was not allowed to go to concerts as a kid, because I can only imagine the shit that would have happened to me at those concerts. So I love Scene Queen for calling out all of this bullshit. She is amazing and I love her so much. And 18 Plus is just, it's such a good mix of having a message and being a damn good song. I love it so much. Continuing with kind of the rock vibes, the other song that I absolutely adored from this year, or from 2024, even though it technically is on the album that just released today, is One OK Rock's Delusional. From the lyrics to the sound to the music video. I think the music video in particular is the best part about Delusional, because Taka's really good at getting his point and his like political stance across in music videos. He's been like this for ages. Him and the rest of the group are really good about making political messages known in their videos while still having it be about music, to where if you're not really somehow invested in the politics going on right now, you can ignore it. But I adored the music video for Delusional, and my favorite line in this song, oh god, because one of the things I love about One OK Rock is Taka does a lot of moments where it's very close to rock rap, which is one of my favorite subgenres. I absolutely love rock rap. You'll notice that becomes a trend when you look at a lot of my favorite artists of all time. But there's a line in there, I think it's the second pre-chorus, where he goes, "But we don't need them, we are the kingdom, we know the amount we shared was never even." Something about that line and the way he sings it or raps it is just stuck with me. It hits that autistic ADHD itch in my brain, and I listen to it oh so much. I just switched from because I've been listening off the single album, and I just switched it to, because the album Detox released today, so I took the actual album version and put it on all my playlists instead. One OK Rock for me never misses. They are my favorite band of all time, and I forced myself on this like list that I made to pick one song from every artist. I didn't overlap any artists, and when it comes to the albums, I did the same thing, which is slightly easier. Artists don't usually release more than one album a year unless they're K-pop artists. So it was a lot easier for me album-wise to pick only one from an artist. Song-wise, it was much harder, but I narrowed it down. Which brings us to the next song, which is Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, which I wasn't sure if I was going to put this one. I was torn between this and TV Off. I absolutely loved TV Off. Squabble Up was also really good, and there were a couple others off the GNX album that I really liked, but TV Off and Not Like Us were the two that really stuck with me. But after Not Like Us won the Grammy, I decided I needed to put Not Like Us on the list. I love that song, not just because of the beef between him and Drake and the fact that I have never liked Drake, the vibes from that man have never been good, but just, Kendrick is so good with his lyrical wordplay. Like, this man has a Pulitzer Prize. It's he's amazing. His lyrics always stand out, and that's what I love about him. And I think Not Like Us, more so than TV Off, had a lot more of the lyrical play in it than TV Off did. Despite TV Off still being great, I think Not Like Us had a little bit more of the lyrical play, and that's kind of why it ended up on the list as well. Another really great lyrical song for me this year was Too Bad for Us by Rose, or Rose. I don't know how she actually wants us to pronounce it. I never ever, like, checked with the fandom of how we're supposed to pronounce it, because it has the is it the umlaut? Or the little, it might just be an accent. And no, I don't think it's an umlaut. I think it's an accent. I think it's just an accent on the E, so I don't know if it's supposed to be Rose or Rose. But off her album Rosie, Too Bad for Us is my favorite song because of the lyrics of it. They are so beautiful and heartbreaking, and just the way she sings it. She is such a beautiful, beautiful singer, and I love her so, so much. I actually love this song enough that I am learning it on my guitar right now, and eventually later this year I should have a cover for you guys of it. Probably not vocals because I myself am not a singer, but I definitely want to show you guys the guitar cover that I'm working on for Too Bad for Us. It is just, I absolutely love that song. There were a lot of good songs off Rosie, but that one is the one that stuck with me and really hit my heart. That is the one that was just all-encompassing for me. And then now we get into the last two songs, so it's technically 6 songs. So let's start with Home Sweet Home by G-Dragon. I love G-Dragon. I have been a fan of him for my entire life as a K-pop stan. I have adored him and his lyrical wordplay, his rapping style, him being unapologetically himself. And I hate the shit that Big Bang has gone through. I hate all the shit that's happened between specifically Top and the Korean media, and I hate it. You tore apart a family all over something that most of the rest of the world doesn't consider a criminal offense. And I'm not gonna get into that. That's a whole other controversy. I love Home Sweet Home though, because whether or not it's something like, a lot of fans have speculated that it might be G-Dragon, Daesung and Taeyang's way of trying to reach Top. Whether or not that's the case, the song itself has so much meaning, I think, to VIPs in general. Whether it be for Top or for us, or just a song that he wished he could have done with Big Bang and he can't bring himself to because Top is not there anymore. I love it. The lyrics are amazing. The way he introduced it with the performance that he did, and the way the song flows with bringing in Taeyang and then in Daesung, like, it is done so beautifully well, and it is produced spectacularly. Like, I feel like that was one of the best ways he could have done, like, a big... like, it's almost like an homage to Big Bang without it being a Big Bang song. And I love that. And I am so excited for his album. Y'all have no idea how much I have been waiting for this. I have been waiting so long for GD's comeback. And now it's finally here. So Home Sweet Home I still listen to the crap out of it. It is still on my playlist. And it will continue to be on my playlist. And I will continue to drive everyone insane because I'm just like, I'm gonna go watch that performance again. That was a good performance. I feel like the music industry missed G-Dragon. Like, I feel like it was missing that flair that he has. And while, yes, the industry does not treat him very well still, he is still the artist of artists, and I stand by that. He is amazing, and he's getting ready to blow us all out of the water if these couple of pre-release songs are anything to go by. Now, for my last song for the top songs of the year, this was the song that according to my Spotify Rewind, because I did get that, I listened to Spotify for half the year, this was the song I listened to the most, and I was in the top, like, 0.01% or 0.001% of listeners, that is how much I listen to this song, which maybe I need to get a life. But this song was Green Juice by Hong Dabin. I have no idea what it is about this song exactly. Lyrically, it is very well written. It's not anything amazing lyrically, but the music and the instruments of it, the way it is produced, it is just so catchy. It is very repeatable because I am the autistic person who listens to a song on repeat when it catches that itch in my head. And it was very repeatable, it was very catchy, it was a great focus song for me. And I listened to it a lot the beginning half of the year, and then I was reminded how much I loved it, and I started listening to it again in the later half of the year, kind of near the end. I think it made it back to a couple of my playlists, because I took it off for a while, because I'm like, okay, I'm listening to Dabin stuff too much at this point, I need to take a break. But Green Juice, just out of all, there are some amazing songs off Giggles, but I think Green Juice is definitely my favorite, and there's just something about it, and I think Ian helped a little bit with the production on it as well, at least with the guitars, because the guitars are spectacular, and y'all are gonna learn real quick on this channel how much I love guitars. I love guitars so much, they're so good. But it was amazing. I love Green Juice. For albums, I'm gonna start with the one of these 6 albums that I don't own, and I'm so mad that I do not own it. And that is Stand Atlantic Was Here, which I think is the cleverest title ever. I love that album title. I adore Stand Atlantic. I saw them, I think it was 2018, 2019. I went to see One OK Rock with my ex, and Stand Atlantic was opening for them along with Water Parks. I fell in love with both of them. I adore them so much now, and I have been waiting so long for this Stand Atlantic album, and it did not disappoint. It was so good, and it was everything that I had been missing from rock this year that I did not feel like I was getting. One OK Rock's album was taking a while to come out, Water Parks is in between labels, a lot of my other rock bands are taking breaks, but then Stand Atlantic came out and they delivered. All the songs were really good. There were some great lyrically impactful songs for me, a couple that made me cry. I think Kissing Killer Cobras, though, is my favorite off the album because I listened to it the most. It's very fun to sing along to and to dance to. Dangerous when you're driving, but it's still a great song. I'm hoping maybe that I will be able to get the album soon. The sucky part is because they are an Australian-based band, they don't sell their albums here in the States. I don't see them on the shelves anywhere, and even if they were on music store shelves, they wouldn't be in my music store shelves because I live in the middle of nowhere in the desert. My small town ain't carrying albums like that. I was surprised when we got K-pop albums on the shelves out here. It blew my mind when my stores started selling K-pop albums. But Australian bands are not nearly as popular, and I know Stand Atlantic is opening for One OK Rock this year, and I'm hoping to go see them at the Greek Theater, but money's been tight, so we'll have to see. I would love to watch them open, though. I wasn't able to go to their concert last summer because there was a bunch of other things and money issues, but I really, really want to see them this year, even if it's just opening for One OK Rock. I feel like that would be a great... it'd be better if Water Parks was opening for them again, too, but if Stand Atlantic opens and I see One OK Rock performing again, I feel like that would heal a little bit of myself, so I'm definitely going to try and see them in concert. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, let's start, because I have all the albums that... the rest of the albums, so we're going to start with these. So first off, we're going to start with Curtain Call by BAP. This album means the world to me, and I do not care that TS Entertainment owns their name. They're BAP to me and everyone else, and TS Entertainment can... things that I should not be saying on YouTube. But this album, whether this be a goodbye or a hold pattern album until Zello gets out of the military, this was a beautiful album for the fans. I feel like the boys did an amazing job. They wrote the lyrics. The lyrics are so beautiful in this for the fans. All the songs are great and they make me cry, and it's just... this was a really nice thing, and the even better part to me, and the reason I put this album on here, not just because of how much I miss BAP, because they were my ultimate K-pop group for the longest time. BAP is what got me into K-pop. This is the group that started this for me. What makes this album more special is everything they did around this album. They did the music video, they did the concerts, they did the dance practice, they did the performance version, they did music shows. They did, 3 different versions of this album? They did not have to do any of that. They could have just made a simple album, released one version, thanked the fans, and moved on like a lot of other groups do. They did this for us, and they put so much effort into this, and it was so beautiful to see how much they care about us, and how... I think the heartbreaking part was seeing how surprised they were by how many fans were still fans. How many of us had been waiting and holding our breath to see when they'd come back. Like, I think that moment when I saw the shock on their face, especially on Jungkook's face, that broke my heart so much, because these guys could have been BTS, and I will stand on that no matter how many people yell at me for saying that. If TS Entertainment had treated them properly, they were set to make waves in especially the American music industry. Because I remember seeing them in concert, I think it was a year or two before they filed their lawsuit. And that concert was packed. Everyone was excited. There was so much publicity for that concert. They were big. And then TS screwed them over by not giving them a chance and trying to hold them back. And I have so much I can say about K-pop companies. I wrote so many papers about it in my entertainment business course that I took. Like, I am very happy with this. And if this is the last album we get from BAP, even if Zello is not able to join them on another album, I'm okay with that, because this feels like a beautiful way of saying goodbye. It sucks, but at least we got it. Not all of us can say our K-pop groups got an ending, and BAP made sure they did. So thank you, BAP, and thank you to Jungkook, because Jungkook is the reason this happened. I got to meet Jungkook. There was a K-Con I went to. I don't remember what year it was, but I went to a panel where Jungkook was. And I got to meet Jungkook. I think my ex took a picture with him, so I don't think I have the picture of him anymore. But he is just such a sweet and caring person, and the one thing I love about Jungkook, he is passionate about music and dance, and they mean the world to him just as much as all the boys do. He cares about them as much as he cares about music and dance, and that is amazing, and I love watching him perform. So thank you guys for this. This album genuinely healed a part of me last year, and I can't thank y'all enough for that. Weirdly impactful album for me last year was this one, and that is Minisode 3? Minisode 3 by TXT. I was not expecting this album to hit. I've been more of a casual fan of TXT. I was there for their debut. I remember all the controversy around it. I remember when they started changing into their darker concept. I've been, like, it's been a weird ride with me in TXT, where it's been like, sometimes I go listen to their songs after like a year, and I'm like, okay, no, now I like this song. So it's been weird. This was the first album where I absolutely adored the songs upon first listen, because this one was The Killer I Belong To, Deja Vu, I'll See You There Tomorrow, Miracle, Quarter Life Crisis, which I fucking love. Quarter Life Crisis is definitely one that spoke to me a lot. I feel like that one made me feel seen. Because the one time the song that made me really start liking TXT was actually what they released during the height of COVID, which was We Lost the Summer. It was the first time an artist, a K-pop artist specifically, had released a song that I actually felt spoke to me and that I understood. It was a song where the lyrics made sense to me and I felt the lyrics. The lyrics actually impacted me. And from then onward, I started really actually paying attention to their music. And there was something about this album, and I can't, even now I still can't quite say what it was, but the songs in this album just stuck with me. They stuck in my brain. And then, hilariously enough, the logo on the Orange album for this, and on a couple other things that they've done, was a fox. And something to know about me is I am a very spiritual person. I do consider myself to be a practicing witch, or at least a practicing pagan. I go back to my Celtic roots a lot, And foxes are a very, very important symbol for me. Foxes are the animal for me that shows me that I am going the right way, that is guiding me. That's how it's always been in my life. And so when I saw that one of the albums had some stuff in it that was fox related, I was like, oh, I need to get this album. So I do not know what it is about TXT, but ever since this album in particular, I have been even more in love with their music. So this was a weird jumping off point for me to finally actually fall in love with TXT. Next up, unsurprisingly, is Rosie. I absolutely adored this album. I said that when I was talking about Too Bad for Us, and the fact that it's in a jewel case does make me happy. I love my K-pop albums, do not get me wrong. I adore all the fancy designs on them, but having just a normal jewel case album was really, really nice. I missed these. And Rose was my favorite of Blackpink. She was my absolute favorite. I always loved her vocal tones and her vocal stylings, and to see her actually shine here on her own in this album is amazing. She deserves all the praise that she's getting for this, especially because she is the lyricist for this. She wrote most of the lyrics on this album, and that is impressive. She definitely has a lot of stories to tell, and I cannot wait for her next album. Hopefully she takes some time before doing that. Hopefully she doesn't push herself. We know they do that in this industry a lot, but I adored this. I loved this so much. Another unsurprising one, if you know me at all, and if you were at all on the previous channel I made, is Giggles by Dabin, because I had been so impatiently waiting to hear news on what was going to happen with him after he left DPR, or not left, after he took a step back from DPR. He did say that he will come back when he feels he's ready to, but he's taking the time to figure himself out, which I thought was beautiful. I'm still so proud of him, even though he hasn't posted online in ages. I have no idea what he's up to, and we haven't gotten new music from him in over a year now, because it's been a year since Giggles released. I love Dabin a lot. I love him, his story, his music, and how passionate and creative he is. I think that he is a truly brilliant person, and I'd love to be friends with him. I think he's one of the, there are artists where I am like, I love your music and you, and I think it'd be interesting to sit down and talk with you for a period of time and do like an interview, but Dabin's one that I would actually want to be friends with, because I think this is a special kind of person. And this album really showcases that for me. It shows a lot of his true soul, and I'm hoping we do get a follow-up. I'm hoping we do get another Hong Dabin album within the next 2 years, but we'll have to wait and see. For now, I'm going to continue to cherish this album because this is my signed version of it. I have the signed version from him, so if you want to check out any of the stuff, because I did react to Giggles. Giggles I did do like a full reaction to. I have a couple other DPR reactions on my previous channel. You guys can go check the Storyteller Reacts playlist, and all of those should be in there. I'm updating that playlist today, so I say they should be today. And the final album, the kind of honorable mention, because I only just really listened to it at the tail end of last year, and it took me a bit to get around to it, and I only just bought it a couple of days ago, but it is GNX by Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar, for me, has made me appreciate my Black heritage more. And I talked about this a little bit in the TikTok video I mentioned, but basically, I'm mixed race. I'm a quarter Black, my grandpa is Black, and the rest of my family is very mixed. And so growing up in a mixed family in a white community was super hard, and it wasn't until Black Panther came out that I actually started to appreciate my heritage again. And it was Kendrick's songs on the album that did that. And then I went and looked up some more of his music, and I fell in love, and then I learned about his lyrics, and then he got the Pulitzer Prize, and then this album came out, and I was like, I love this man. I have had such a hard time liking American rap until Kendrick. Kendrick made me like rap again and really appreciate it. Like, I love my Korean rappers and my Korean artists, but I always felt like, man, it sucks that I can never get into American rap because it is my culture, it is my heritage. My cousins used to listen to it, now they don't really care for it anymore. But like, this rap is what I feel like, for me, is the rap that I can get invested in. Obviously, I'm not saying it's good or it's bad. I'm not saying there's better rap or worse rap. This is the kind of rap that my brain can flow with. And I'd like to see more of this thoughtful, poetic kind of rap style. Even though, yes, I'm aware there's just some of these are just diss tracks. The diss tracks are poetic, and I think that's the difference. I think that's the difference between Kendrick and so many other rappers out there. There's a reason he is respected in this industry. And I really appreciate what he's done for me and making me feel comfortable in my culture and my heritage again. Now, on to books and writing, because I am trying my darndest to read more, and it is a very hard task. I used to read a lot as a kid, though it's definitely a misconception between me and the people around me. They said, man, you read so fast, you burn through books. Not actually. I am dyslexic, and my reading speed is significantly slower than other people. I just didn't do anything else with my day. I would spend entire days with a book in my hand and nothing else. That is why I read so much as a kid. It's a lot harder for me to read now. Thankfully, audiobooks exist now, and audiobooks have made it so much easier for me to read and enjoy books because my listening speed is faster than my reading speed. It's most of my audiobooks I play at 1.25 or 1.5 speed, so I get through the books a lot faster than I would if I'm trying to sit and read them on paper. So most of the books I did this year were audiobooks, but the ones that I liked, I did end up buying. Most of them. There's a couple that I didn't, and we'll start with one of the ones that I wasn't able to buy, which is A Man Called Ove, or Ove. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Should have checked that before recording, but here we are. Live, y'all. This is just me. But A Man Called Ove was recommended to me by a couple of different book lists I had looked at and my friend Nina, and I ended up bawling my eyes out. That book was so good, it broke my heart, and the main character reminded me a lot of my grandpa, and it reminded me a lot of just my grandma and my grandpa's relationship, and kind of what would have happened if it had been the opposite and my grandma had passed away. That's what this book really reminded me of, because I lost my grandpa, I think 3 years ago now. We just passed his death anniversary, and my grandpa was the light of my life. I loved him. He was everything to me. And reading this book, I was so nervous, having still had the wounds very fresh of losing him, how I was going to react to this book, but it just made me love and appreciate my grandpa more, and I will eventually own a copy of this book, but I wasn't able to find it, and my Barnes & Noble sometimes just doesn't have anything, and the closest Barnes & Noble is like 30 minutes away, the next one's about an hour, so I don't live near a lot of bookstores. I don't even think we have a local bookstore. We somehow have a local library, which I love. Don't know how, because I feel like we live so far out, I don't know why they have one. But I want to own this book because of that, and I'm really glad that my friend recommended and pushed me to read it, because it definitely really helped me cope with a lot of what I was dealing with the loss of Grandpa. It is probably the only book this last year that made me cry as hard as I did, but it was a good kind of cry. It was sad but happy is the kind of crying it was. It is definitely a very emotional book, so I will warn anyone who hasn't read it that they should be prepared for tears. I don't want to spoil anything for any of these books. I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free. If you guys want a spoiler-filled review of books, always let me know, and I will start doing more of that. You can just comment that down below, but for this, we're going to keep this kind of spoiler-free and just kind of go over the basics of the books and how they impacted me. And A Man Called Ove definitely I will never not think of my grandpa when I read that book, because he reminded me a lot of my grandpa. Very stubborn, very set in his ways. I feel like a lot of us in our 20s and 30s have grandpas like that. A lot of us know or have family members that are older that are like that, and we love them still, despite their stubbornness, because they're good people at heart. And you definitely, at first you're kind of miffed with the main character, but as the book goes on, you really start to understand him, and you will come to love him by the end, I promise. Now, I don't remember the order in which I read any of these books. I have half of them written down because I don't own most of them, but the next two books I want to talk about were I listed them as both good books. Not amazing, but good. Tell Me Everything by Minka Kelly. That was recommended to me also by Nina because she identified a lot with her story and a lot of the struggles that she had. So I read that book as a way to understand my friend better, because she basically said that, hey, I relate to this book a lot and this person struggles, and I wanted you to read it and offer it to you as like an olive branch of, hey, do you want to understand me a bit more? And even though we've been friends for well over a decade or two, I think almost 2 at this point, oh god, we're getting old. It's always really nice to have those moments where you can sit with your friend and understand them a bit better. And after reading that book, I definitely understood her on an even deeper level than we already understood each other. So that is why I love sharing books with friends. When you share books with friends, especially ones that impact you or that you feel a certain way about, you open another layer of your friendship and you're able to delve deeper into it. And I'm really glad that I have friends that I can share books like that with. So Minka Kelly is definitely one. I don't know if I'd recommend it for everyone. It's definitely a very good memoir. It's well written, it's well thought out, and the storyline is told very succinctly, so it's not confusing at all. It's definitely a really good memoir. If you're curious about it, I would definitely give it a read. Another recommended book for me this year was, this one has been on my list for ages. It is Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is recommended to me by Gus, my roommate, my other best friend. He has been wanting me to read this since we were in high school. It has taken me that long to read it, and I finally figured out why. I do like this book a lot. I don't love it necessarily, but it is an amazingly well-written book. It does a very good job with the time jumping. I feel like it's not super confusing, the time jumping in this, like it can be in other books. She does a very good job of keeping you on track of where you are in the timeline, and I love that. I'm not usually a fan of time jumpy books, but this one was good. The ending, I think, not the ending I wanted, but the ending made sense for the characters and for the story in the book, and I appreciate that. What made this book hard for me is that it is slow-paced. And even Gus admitted, yes, the first half of this book is very slow-paced. And like I said, I'm dyslexic, so I already read really slow. So a slow-paced book for me becomes a slog of a book. I reread the beginning of this book like 3 different times over the years, and then I finally found the audiobook version. Because I wouldn't let myself read audiobooks. The internalized ableist in me would not allow me to read audiobooks. It's like, you're not deaf, audiobooks are not for you. But I wanted to enjoy reading again, so I forced myself to try audiobooks, and now I'm enjoying reading again because I can read books again. Even though there's some discourse about whether or not audiobooks are actually reading, I consider audiobooks reading. That is my stance, and that's where that falls. But the audiobook for this, being able to listen to this at 1.5 speed, suddenly made that really slow intro in the book, the slow first like 1/3 of this book, pass by instantly. Once I was through that, I actually started, like, I think it was about somewhere around this far into the book is when I started reading on paper, and it was moving a lot faster. So I was able to transition from the audio to the paper once I got through the slow portion of it. That's my only like warning with the Night Circus, because it's an amazing book. It really is, but it is slow. So if you are someone who reads a little bit slower, then I would suggest getting the audiobook version because it makes it easier to read and it's not going to be as much of a struggle on you. Another book I read that I do not own that I want to is Pirate Latitudes by Michael Keaton. I did not know Crichton. Dyslexia does not like fancy names. But I did not realize this was the same author of the Jurassic Park books, which I also did not realize were books until recently. So I didn't know. Those are now on my to-read list because I've heard the books are better than the movies and have more of a horror element, and I can kind of see where he gets, like, the writing style for Pirate Latitudes is my favorite thing. So if he writes in Jurassic Park similar to how he does in Pirate Latitudes, I know I'm going to love them. Because Pirate Latitudes was so, like, simply written, but not in a bad way. It was written in a way that I could fully comprehend the story. It moved fluidly and perfectly, and I understood all the beats that were happening. And for me, it was a perfect pirate book because it was a very succinct like compounded pirate adventure. It started and ended. That whole arc of the adventure was done by the end of the book. Like, it was done and settled, and I love that because I'm so, like, I love my series. I do. I grew up reading books that had like 5 in the series or more, but I'm at a point now where I like my quick books, my one-off books, one-off series. They're a lot easier for my brain to comprehend now, and I think that Michael Crichton was really, really good at that. With Pirate Latitudes, if that is the format he's using for a lot of his other books, he was amazing at that. And I think, because I know I started the year off with Pirate Latitudes, and that really set up the idea for me that, oh, one-off book series or one-off books actually might be better for me, like standalones. That's the word I'm looking for. Standalone books might actually be a lot better for me to read and comprehend. And I took that into the rest of the year with all the other books I was reading. Following that was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which also a slow book. Even on audio, this was the one book I struggled with, because even on audio, this book felt like it just wasn't moving. And I restarted the audio a couple of times, and by the time you got to like the midway point, it started picking up the pace. I'm curious if maybe the formatting on page would have made it feel different. I don't own a copy of this one, so I can't tell. But this was the first audiobook I ran into where I realized that audiobooks can even be slow. And it could be the narration, it could be that it just is formatted differently on pages. Like, I know for a fact if I were to try to read something like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo or Daisy Jones and the Six, those journalistic style ones that Reed does, those would not translate to audiobooks super, super well. Those would probably be slow and convoluted. And I'm wondering if this is something similar where it just didn't translate properly. It was a good sci-fi book, I will say. They had a lot of fun sci-fi elements. They introduced a lot of creatures and other alien, other alien species and things that really filled out the universe. That is my favorite part of that book, is that they really made the universe feel like it was full of diverse and interesting people and species. So they did a beautiful job with that. It was just very slow paced, so it took a lot for me to get through it. I enjoyed the ending though. I think the ending was beautiful and perfect. Now, there are 2 final books I read this year, and I loved them both. One I bought before I read it because I had a feeling I was going to love it, and one I bought after. The one I bought after was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This is my new favorite style of witchcraft books. This is everything I want my witch books to be. This is everything I've been trying to figure out for my next book. This is everything I want, and I love the way the magic is, the characters, the representation in this, the talk of different, like the way she implemented the main character's backstory with being of a darker skin tone, of a different heritage, and adopted into other places, and moving and living somewhere that is not her culture, with the way witches are raised in this particular society, and the way the past of witchcraft was so beautifully done. It made it integral to the story, and that's the fun part. I love when books can add something unique to them, but have it be not just a unique, fun world building piece, but something that you can still relate to the character with. I am not kidding when I say this is my standard and my goal for my next book. Something like this, that is fun, that is lighthearted, maybe a little bit darker on my side. I am the girl that reads Mafia fanfic a lot, so... But this styling I thought was really, really adorable and sweet, and just the characters are all really fleshed out and really well written. I still have not had a chance to look up this author to see if she has more, but if she does, I want to read everything she's written. I have not found a lot of newer authors that I want to absolutely dive into all of their work, but with her writing style and the way her description of magic. I love magic, and I love like witchcraft and stuff in books, and this one is done so beautifully well. I loved it so much. Absolutely tied for my favorite book of the year. Probably actually my favorite because it is the newer of the books. The other one is much older, but this one is definitely tied for first place. And it's tied with the one I bought before I even read it because I knew I was gonna like it. And that was Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is one of my 2 favorite Studio Ghibli films. My other is Kiki's Delivery Service. Witchcraft, unsurprising, right? But I have heard so much about this book growing up and watching the Studio Ghibli film and hearing that, oh, she has a book about it. It was actually a book first. They adapted it from this. It's a little different, but you think you'd really like it. Like, I heard that so much growing up, and I never could find the book. And then I got kicked out of reading, basically, it felt like my brain said, we're not allowed to read anymore. And I didn't read any books for like, 5 years? And now I'm trying to kickstart it again. And this is one of the books that I picked to kickstart it with because I had a feeling I'd love it, and I did. I still love the Studio Ghibli film. It is still one of my favorites, but the book is better. The book is definitely better for me. There is so much more to the world and to the characters in this that I absolutely adore. I know that there is another one that she wrote that is in kind of the same universe as this, but I wish there was just more of just this. Like, I wish there were 12 more books in this universe, not just 1 or 2. Like, I want so much more of this. This is that's why these 2 are tied for first, is because these are my goal for my fantasy books when it comes to magic. These are my goals. And I love how different Sophie is in the book compared to the film. I love Sophie in both, but I like this one more. I really do. And the characters are just so much more fun. I love Howl in both. I think both depictions of Howl are good. They're very similar. Definitely the book feels a lot more realistic to how we think Howl probably would have been. So it definitely fits a lot better. So I am so happy I bought it. It's kind of a joint copy between me and Gus. Since we currently live together, and the idea of us owning our own apartment in this economy, no, we're just gonna keep sharing an apartment until hopefully the economy gets better. We don't know when or if that'll ever happen, but for now, since we're gonna be living together for a while, most of our books are joint books if we both like them, and this is one of them. I want to find like a fun special hardcover version of this though for like a display book, because I love having like, both me and Gus do, we like having display versions of books we love. Versions that we read that can get kind of dented and damaged as we read them, and then versions that we just put out on a bookshelf that's like, hey, this is our favorite book and here's a nice copy of it. We don't touch the pretty cover copy. I was worried that if I read the book, I would not like the movie anymore based on the book, but in all honesty, I like them both in their own way, because I feel like Studio Ghibli did a very good job of interpreting it into their own style. And I think a couple other of the ones they've done were originally books or folklore, and I love how they interpret it into their own style. And so it made me appreciate the film more, but I do adore this book, and this is why it's tied for #1 from last year. So those are all the books that I read last year. It wasn't a lot, but it was a lot for me. I know there are people out there who read like a ridiculous amount of books at a time. I am not one of those people. Granted, I did just try to read 2 books at once, and that was a dumb idea for me. I really shouldn't have done that. I do need to finish, I am currently reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, as well as I Decided to Live as Me, which is due back at the library in 4 days, so I need to finish that one. I have that on an audiobook version. I also had the courage to Be Disliked on audiobook, but I didn't finish that before I had to return it, so I'm waiting for that to come back around as well. I love libraries. That's the other thing that I will say, is that local libraries here in the States are amazing, and we need to show more support for our libraries, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to read half the books I do. I use the app Libby. This is not sponsored by them, but I use the app Libby, and I have a local library card that I use to be able to borrow and read books. That is how I do most of my reading now, is through Libby. So if you guys have access to a local library and can get a library card, they are free. You can go into your local branch, get a library card, and then go on Libby, download the app, and you will have access to your library's entire online catalog. And if you live in a decently populated area, that's a pretty big catalog. I am lucky that my catalog, it covers my county and not just my town, because my county is really big, so that's one nice thing. So that is everything on like my top list for music and books from 2024. I will obviously be doing this again at the end of 2025 because I like doing these little wrap-ups of like things that impacted me personally, for people who don't watch every single video on my channel, and for the fact that I don't post every single thing on this channel. This is just a nice way of wrapping things up and packaging it so that you guys can get a sense and a feel for what I've been up to throughout the year.